Hello, welcome again. Today's topic is going to be school. Let's talk about school in general. I don't have nothing against school. I think it's great to get the experience, get the knowledge, set yourself up for a career, look for opportunities. One of my biggest concerns is how expensive it is. The prices in general, and then you start to realize per semester, per quarter, year, then does also includes food, any type of expenses you're going to put down, overhead, sleeping quarters, regardless of what it is. It gets so much, there's just so much to it. It gets so expensive. And I didn't realize at the time when I was going to school, but I understand now more, especially now, how why it takes so long for people to graduate. You have the conditions of people can't afford school, they're pulling out loans, there's financial aid, scholarships aren't enough, the grants aren't enough. There's so much money being spent, particular in the tuition alone. Then there's materials for whatever classes and courses they need, especially books. Books are expensive. However, going back to the tuition, I remember going to school and thinking, shit, this is expensive. Yeah, keep in mind, I went to a private school. A lot of my friends went to public schools like UCLA, Cal Poly Pomona, and a lot of other good schools. Or they were going here, to community college, which was really good idea, which I should have done. But unfortunately, my parents, they wanted me to get out of the valley. They wanted me to go and explore, and they wanted me to just start out fresh. They didn't want me to stay here for that long. They said I needed the experience to get out and be on my own and then come back. And I did learn a lot doing that. So tuition got very expensive to a lot of my friends. A lot of them, had kids, they had families, they had full-time jobs, they had life ahead of them. So many obstacles, so many responsibilities to deal with, to the point where when they're going to school and they're actually working and they're doing their internship, it's going to take a long time. I'm not saying it's impossible or it's rare, but I have seen some people who are able to manage a full-time job, their family, their children, and school, and graduate on time. That to me was like superhero. That was unbelievable because I never got to see that. And when I saw it, it was just amazing to see what someone is capable of doing with the right mentality and the right time management. Because without time management, you weren't able to do anything you wanted. And having the right time management is very great. A lot of people used to tell me, especially in school, when I'm going and I'm organizing all my shit together for the day, they'd look at me or they'd hear what I was saying and they would easily have something to say. Oh, well, why are you doing this in the morning? Why are you only spending so and so amount of time on so and so? And I would tell them, well, it's easy, it's very obvious. If I time manage my entire day into a schedule routine, I can get the most out of it. I can work on one assignment for an hour, drop it, leave it, touch on another assignment, and then after another hour, get back to the original assignment. Then I would schedule myself to have lunches and dinners at the same time or within the same time, specifically to get my mind and body set to just constantly work. But then to also relax and relieve myself from all the workload. We're not robots. We are humans. We have to figure out a way that's most comfortable and suitable to what we want to accomplish. And when I remember going to school, especially with the tuition, it's just, I remember talking to a lot of students who were a lot older than I was. Keep in mind, when I graduated, I was 22. I went straight from high school. And a lot of my friends were already, late 20s, early 30s, some even 40s. I didn't realize it then. I realize it now, particularly more within the age genre, on how you go to university and you don't really have a set mentality of who's going to be there, how long someone's going to be there. You don't understand until you're actually physically staying on campus and you're actually there for a good amount of time. Because if you're only there for school for a year or so and you keep transferring your majors, or you drop out, you come back, you leave and you go, or you go to different schools, you don't really understand until you stay there for a good amount of time and then start to realize who's there, who hasn't been there, who's been there for so long. And it's not until you talk to the person and see their situation. I remember a friend of mine was going to school at the same time I was, and I had no idea, but this person was actually already there for 10 years doing the same thing I was doing. I had no idea until I asked him. I was like, hey, when did you start school? And he said, oh, well, I started back in, I believe, the early 2001, 2. And I'm like, whoa, it's like 2010. I was like, what's going on? But I didn't ask, I didn't tell him that, obviously. That's a dick move. I told him, so when do you plan on graduating? How's your schedule going? And that's when he, reflected his opinion and told me, well, look, I have 2 kids. I have to put them through school as well. My wife works, but she doesn't make as much. I make more of the money. However, we're in the situation where I can only go to school so much, and then I have to take, some time off. I can't go this semester because I'm taking care of my wife and children, and I have to save up enough money to go again for the next, quarter or semester, which relies back on what situation you're in, and if you're lucky enough that you have something set up for yourself. Because even if you do, nothing's guaranteed. You can go to school and have the best grades, have all the scholarships, and you could either do very well, succeed, and graduate, or you can fail miserably. And it's more of an obligation. You had the opportunity, you didn't take advantage, and you just didn't care. If you want to go to school, please do. Take advantage of the school system. I'm not saying you have to, but if you have the opportunity and you're interested in, give it a shot. See what you like to do. Look, take all the GEs, the general ed, that are required for the necessary major or career or path you want to take. And it's not always going to be easy. So people are afraid. We're generally afraid of something that we don't understand. Being a human is going out there and figuring out what you want to do. You might not know when you're taking the classes, or even when you're choosing majors, or even when you graduate, you might not even stay in that same career. But the reality is, if you're able to go to school and you graduate, you're always going to have that degree with you. And you're always going to have the knowledge that you learned, the experience, and that you can always use upon your future career or any jobs you're looking for. Because I'll tell you what, people, especially employers, they look for that right away. They have a pool of applicants, and then they look, and the first thing they notice is, oh, you know what, this person has a degree, he's got a nice resume. I'm going to set his application to the side with the potential interviewers, not even looking at the resume. Why? Because people have the mentality that they automatically assume, well, this person graduated, so I already know they have some set of dedication and skills because they went to school for X amount of years and they understand more than the basics. So when it comes to school, do what you can. Even if you can't afford it, try going to your library, try learning as much as you can. Go online with, thankfully now with the online resources, there's tutoring, there's a lot of books you can read, because you don't want to be at that point where you shut yourself down even before you give it a shot. I always remember hearing from friends of mine saying, you're never going to learn something unless you give it a try. And you can't give excuses unless you've tried. And even when you give excuses, you need to fail to succeed. If you never failed at something, you're never going to be good at it. They say that the people who are masters are those who have failed miserably, because they failed so many times that by the time they got good at it, they knew exactly what the mistakes were and not to make those mistakes again. And that's what builds better, That's what builds yourself to a better person. Being able to communicate with others, being able to, expand your horizons, making sure that your intelligence is good for you and it's good for others. There's nothing better than talking to someone and understanding them because they understand and they know what they're speaking of, regardless if it's at a very minimal or a very high standard. Because the one thing I don't like is when I'm speaking to someone and I'm trying to get them to say something, and even if it's something so simple, but they can't even like express themselves, and I try to tell them, don't make it sound over dramatic. Don't use this big vocabulary. Don't try to sound intellectual. If it's something so basic, I mean, because then you're not gonna it's not gonna sound right. You're gonna say something and you're gonna expand it so long that I'm gonna get lost. Why? Because you're not bringing it down to its very basics. And with that, we end today's video. I hope you guys enjoy it, and we'll keep coming.